Few mindful deep breaths with me. If you're rolling your neck, maybe switch directions. Breathing in through the nose and releasing out through the mouth. Again, tune in with the way that your body is feeling today. Maybe notice where your hands are. Taking a few more deep breaths, allowing yourself to cleanse through the fresh, cool air through your nose, and releasing that warm breath out through your mouth. Now, perhaps we'll take a moment to set an intention for this journaling session. One that I'm going to follow the rest of the day is I am capable and in control of my actions and choices. Without challenge, there is no change. If that resonates with you, maybe whisper that softly to yourself or just repeat it in your head, or something else that you might need to hear today. As a group, we'll take one more deep breath here. And as we exhale, perhaps gently flutter our eyelids open. Maybe shake it out if you still have a few kinks left in your shoulders or your neck, but we'll go ahead and get started on our journaling prompts. So if you don't already have a piece of paper and a pen in front of you, take just a brief second to get that set up. We'll be going through 5 journaling prompts today, and we'll allow for a few minutes for each to make sure that everybody has a chance to really dive in. So give us just 10 seconds here. Okay. We'll go ahead and move on to journal prompt number 1. So again, we're focusing on growth today. So we're going to start by thinking about what are 3 of my unique strengths? How can I or how do I already use them in my day-to-day life? another 45 seconds or so to finish prompt number 1 before we move on. Okay, if we're ready, we'll go ahead and move on to journal prompt number 2. And if we have time at the end of the session today, we'll have an opportunity to share our reflections on these. So if you have any thoughts about each prompt, just write them down or hold on to them if you'd like to share them at the end. So for journal prompt number 2, I'd like you to consider, how can you show more love and self-compassion to yourself this week? Set 3 specific self-care goals this week that you can add to your calendar. We'll take about 20 seconds to finish up prompt number 2. move on to prompt number 3. For this prompt, I want us to think about what do we need to let go of in order to achieve our goals and our best selves. So this might include fears that we have, or negative thoughts, or toxic relationships. What do we need to let go of in order to become what we want to become and achieve the goals that we've set? Just 15 more seconds or so to wrap up that prompt. Okay, for journal prompt number 4, we are going to really get into goal setting for this year. So one of the main components of growth is really visualizing those goals that you have and the person that you want to become, and the things you want to achieve. So what are your top 3 goals for this year of 2021, and how can we achieve them? These can be as specific or general as you want and as fits your life, but we'll choose the first 3 and the most important 3.
We'll take just about 30 more seconds before we move on to the final prompt. Okay, we'll move on to the final prompt for this morning. I invite you to write out 5 positive affirmations that resonate with you and that you need to hear today. So they might sound something like the, affirmations earlier in the session. They might sound totally different. I've put some examples on the screen, but whatever is resonating with you today, write out 5 positive affirmations that you can repeat to yourself throughout the day or this week.
And as you start to wrap up the final prompt, if you need a few seconds to go back to any of the other prompts that we've worked on, take a moment to do that. But I'd like to open this up for a discussion. If anybody has anything that they would like to share in terms of reflections from the journal prompts today, and anything that came up that that you feel comfortable and willing to share, we would be really grateful to hear those experiences. So I'll open it up if anybody would like to unmute or pop in the chat any thoughts or reflections.
Good morning. This is Tia Powell, and just sitting here looking at these 5 prompts. The one that stood out the most to me was I kind of lost track of setting my goal for this year, and I normally, set goals for myself for every year, and I'm just grateful that you touched bases with that. This morning, I had a lot, going on this year. I lost my aunt and a couple of other things that happened, but I'm glad that you brought that up so I can reposition myself to get back on track with working on my goals for this year. So, thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Tia. We're so glad that that you were able to touch back on some of the goals that you we're hoping to set for this year. And it is important every now and then to check in with ourselves. A lot of us do set goals at the beginning of a year. We had done a New Year's journaling session a couple of months ago here, and I thought, there's a chance that people haven't looked back at those goals or reevaluated and maybe set some new goals for the year. So now that we're in March, there's always an opportunity to set new goals and see how we're doing with the ones that we've already set. Thank you for sharing that. I'm seeing some comments in the chat. Thank you all for sharing. Jalen always enjoys the time to reflect. Me too. Daily intentions help us grow. Yep, absolutely. And it's all about growth this morning. I find that writing out the positive affirmations is really helpful to me when I'm in that kind of mindful headspace and I'm able to get those thoughts down. I can revisit them when I'm feeling a little less mindful or maybe a little bit more stressed. Chris says, at an extension meeting he once heard, take responsibility to change the conditions when you are able and accept those conditions you cannot. Yes, that is very true. I like that saying.
I guess going back to before our journal prompts, but I really enjoyed, and something I'll take from the session today is the grounding exercise at the beginning. I really liked that affirmation that you used and that mantra for the day. And it's good to, always set your day off to a good start like that.
Great, thank you. Glad that you enjoyed it. I can go back to that slide if anybody wanted to write down the affirmation that I had written, or I can just throw it in the chat as well.
And good morning, and I'll share too, and I think, Jalen has in the chat, I think it was Jalen said it's, the time to reflect, because I think about these things a lot, but pen to paper makes different things show up very differently, and it kind of gets it out of my mind and onto paper, both in terms of, what's a present fear, like the fear when I relooked at the prompt and it said fear, toxic energy and things, and I was kind of like, well, I don't know if I need to clean anything up, and then I reread fear and I was like, oh, and it let me just journal some of those things. And so I think many of us on the call, we know about these strategies, we share these strategies with others, but it's so hard to find the time to do it for ourselves. So yeah, thank you for each of the prompts and for what showed up this morning.
Of course, I am really glad that you all were able to join, and hopefully you will have some thoughts and ideas to take with you as we all start on our week. It looks like it's just about 9 o'clock. So again, thank you all for your time.